What's up, everybody? My name is George. I'm with Warp Charge Gaming, and I'm live here from Battlegrounds in Midlothian, Virginia. It's about 15 minutes before the store opens, and I'm just motivated to get this subject off my head that I know I need to make a video for. If you're watching this and you're new to the game, then you definitely know what I'm talking about. And for those that have tried to teach other people how to play Infinity, there's a lot more than just learning the mechanics of the game, but how to navigate the resources of the game so that someone can effectively digest all the information. And I think there's some tactics that I learned as I was learning the game to be able to understand or navigate all the information, to digest it in a more efficient way. And I just want to make a quick video that breaks that down for you and kind of helps you guys, instead of having to repeat yourself every time you try to get somebody into this game, you can use this video to show them how to navigate the resources. So that's what it's about. Let's get into it. I'm just going to try to rock through this live because I'm tired of thinking about it. I want to just show it. There's so much to talk about, just about why to play this game and all the details of why it's so beautiful, but we're just going to get right into it like that's already understood. So you want to play Infinity, you want to figure it out. The first thing that usually comes to somebody's mind is, what faction do I play and why? What's good? And a lot of times you have to kind of help people understand the difference in how this game operates as far as what's good. It's very circumstantial, and it's not easy. There's not a list that just is going to work for everything. It's a game of mini lists, and technically, as the rules kind of set you up, you actually build a list per each mission and opponent that you're, well, not opponent, but per each mission that you're going to play. So you decide on the mission, you build a list. At a tournament, there's typically the missions are always televised ahead of time, and people build a list accordingly to the missions that are going to be at the event. And you bring two lists to the event, so you're not just stuck with the one. And you can play either one based on the table, the faction you're up against, and the mission itself. So that becomes pretty interesting in a conversation in of itself. But first and foremost, the place you need to go is infinitythegame.com. And this is going to have all the hyperlinks to the different resources that Corvus Belli offers you. Particularly, you have the rules. You have the kind of additional rules here that are for fire teams and maybe some special abilities or skills that weren't put in the core rules there. You have sectorial charts. Sometimes the army builder is a little bit inaccurate. You might find that the sectorial charts actually give you, show you a core team member where it didn't actually have that in their profile and things of that nature. So it's good to check what your faction offers. Now, we say sectorials, what does that mean? So we're going to know that we're going to go to infinitythegame.com to access a lot of things. One of the things that's in here is Infinity Army, and this is the beautiful thing about Corvus Belli. They provide a free army builder that's fantastic, both a browser version you can use on your computer and an app. The app is great for when you're playing as well, because you can kind of tell how many orders you got, as things die, what your points value is on the table quickly. It has some nice features for playing. But this is Infinity Army Builder 7 here. You can see it's infinitytheuniverse.com. I'll put all the links in the description after the fact here. But you can see our main core factions up here. The NA2 is a whole bunch of individual factions. They're mercenary groups here that are a combination of all the other ones, kind of thing. So whenever you click on a main faction, you can see that the very first name at the top here is the faction itself as a whole. They call it vanilla, playing the faction vanilla. When you do that, you have access to pretty much, these are all the individual sub-factions of Ariadne, for instance, or all the sub-factions of Hakaslam, and so on. And when you play the vanilla version, you have access to all the sectorials, individual sometimes inside the sectorials there's exclusive units that you can't play amongst the other sectorials, and that's part of the reason you are attracted to maybe one of them. Well, when you play vanilla, you can kind of pick and choose and make a soup of all these different sub-factions. What you don't get, though, is fire teams. That's the one of the main benefits that come with a sectorial. You're able to put guys in groups of 5, 4, 3, or 2, and they can move around with single orders. It's a more efficient thing, and the bigger the combat group, the more benefits you get. From 3 will get you an extra burst, 4 will gain you 6 cents, and a 5-man link team will get you +3 ballistic skill on your shots. So that can be a very powerful mechanic, and what a lot of lists are built around. And if you're going to play vanilla, it definitely means you're going to have a little bit more of it. You're going to have a wider toolbox But you're going to have to know how to use those tools, and you can't really fall on a core team with a +3 to shoot can be kind of a nice benefit that you get used to. And if you're going up against somebody with a core team and you don't have one, you can find it can be pretty debilitating. You're going to have to know how to use your different toolboxes to attack a situation kind of asymmetrically. So vanilla, I think, takes a little bit more depth and understanding of the game. Even though you'll have kind of something for everything, it can be a little overwhelming. So I think sectorials are a little bit more direct. But the army builder is incredible, and it's what makes this, I think it's one of my favorite things about this game versus others when it comes to list building, is how, one, of course it's free, but how all the rules are digital like this. It's all updated by the company and can be done in real time. We're not having to kind of wait one faction at a time like we see in other games. Whenever we came out with N4, all the factions got new rules at the same time when this thing launched. So let me get into this. Okay, so let's say we go to a sectorial. Over on the side here, we can see all of the different icons and the units themselves. When we click on the units, we can see that their profiles come up here. Any of these different individual units here inside this profile are selectable to be brought. And you can see that they have a SWC, or a special weapons cost, SWIC, and they have a general cost. In a typical game, you're going to be looking for 300 points and a 6 special weapon cost as your maximum threshold. And inside the army builder, it's going to tell you when you're incorrect, if you don't have a lieutenant, if your combat groups are too big, if you have more than 15 units, etc., or too many points. So I can see here that I have paramedics, engineers, lieutenant options. These are going to be some of the specialists that I'm going to be needing to bring per missions and per what I might want to be trying to do. Paramedics and doctors heal guys with wounds. Engineers heal guys with structures. Forward observers are just specialists. There's hackers, which can attack people with kind of an info war style, instead of head on. Hackers can be effective, but they can also accomplish the mission. But what's beautiful is that you are able to learn the game through understanding the skills that are available to your army. What's up, man? I just wanted to talk about how to play this game before the store opens. Yep, so I'm just trying to rock this information. So what's going down here is when you're trying to understand how to play, let's say you pick Tartary Corps, you want to play Ariadne, you want to play TAC, and you're trying to learn them. So you got all these profiles, and as you click on them one at a time, you can see the different special abilities that they have access to. When I first learned how to play the game, I actually did it by following the hyperlinks that go to the wiki provided by Corvus Belli. So you can see as I hover over these skills, they act like I can click on them. So if I hit martial arts level 2, it takes me to a wiki and it shows me exactly what that is. And what I really love about the wiki as you start to digest what is martial arts, well, it tells you that in the active or reactive turn, you can see that these are hyperlinks. You're like, as a new player, what is the active? What is the reactive? What does silhouette contact mean? Well, all that can be found by clicking these hyperlinks. Excuse me, the store is open, guys. So yeah, you can just straight up hit these hyperlinks and go to the different rules within the game. And you can honestly learn every detail you might want to know. Here, I just jumped to AROs and what that means. Just jumping a little bit at a time. It's kind of a natural reading order, and you're going to what interests you at that time. Like, what is open information? Oh, cool. And you go to that section. I enjoy jumping around the wiki like this as you go about learning your individual components. You can almost, so the reason I'm telling you this right off is that if we go back to the Infinity of the Game page and we go to the N4 rules here, okay? The rules, here's the table of contents here, and there's hundreds of pages in here. You can either read a 200-book rule book here from front to back and have a lot of overwhelming information, or you can kind of have the relevant information piece at a time as you go down your army profiles here and follow the hyperlinks. Now, the cool thing is, as you learn these individual abilities here, this is a game of universal special rules. So rules that apply to one unit are going to apply to other units. And as you learn your rules, other people will tell you what they have, and they're going to have rules that you're familiar with. Good question. We had a question to see if would we have someone start out with Code 1 or N4. I didn't play Code 1. I like the fact that all the rules in Code 1 are transferable to the big game, so you're not necessarily having to relearn anything, just learn more rules. So if you have people that can help you play the big game, then I think it's great to jump in with people immediately and just start learning the full scale. But if you're just trying to learn with your friends and you have no additional help, then it might be good to start with Code 1 and build your way up. I like to just dive in head first, though, personally. I'd rather not be thinking about what Code 1 has versus the full game has. Just go straight into it, kind of thing. But that's up to you. It's all about how much you're willing to digest. But back to it, the universal special rules, it's beautiful that as you learn what you know, you can see what they have. So one thing that's cool is check out. So one thing that's fantastic beyond just clicking on each of these profiles and go looking at the hyperlinks that way is the filter system inside the army builder. It blows away, say, Battle Scribe, a traditional army builder used for GW games, for the ability to look at anything you have access to with a filter. So if we go to skills up here at the top, and it looks a little bit different on the app heads up, I can see all the skills that are available to the TAC, this particular sub-faction. If I jump into a different faction, it's going to show me skills that might not be in this one. The Ariadne are very low tech, so I don't have very many high tech skills here. And all of these abilities, there's quite a few of them inside the game itself, but I can click on any of these and then see what models immediately offer that skill. Resetting, and I can even say what in my army is 12 points or less. It'll quickly jump to that. What different type of troop type or character, what kind of equipment, where are the hacking devices in my list? It's Ariadne, so I should only have one. Where's the MSV1 in my list? I only have that model in the TAC that offers that. Here's all the different weapons that my faction offers me, and I could be like, oh, I haven't seen this T2 sniper rifle. Who the hell has that? And quickly see who has that within my faction. Being it's only one unit, obviously it's a unique and special weapon. So the filter system is clutch, and as you learn the individual skills of your particular faction, then when you jump to other factions and look at their filtered list, then you're really just looking for the stuff you've never seen before. Like right now I see parachutist. Do I have combat jump? I don't. So look, there's a special ability I know called combat jump. It doesn't exist here, and so as I jump to a different faction that actually has that ability, I'll be like, oh shoot, I've never seen that one. And you click it, you check out the profile, you follow the hyperlink, and you learn yet another rule. So pretty awesome to the hyperlink capability, the filter capability. I think it's a big foundation of how you learn this game, because again, as you learn your own abilities, you are learning the abilities of the enemy. And you'll kind of start to separate what they have that you don't is what makes the difference between the two, you know? Okay, so if you were, say, playing a sectorial, just as a heads up, looking for things that have the fire team capability is going to be a fundamental. Typically, a good starting point in a list is you're going to build a 5-man core, because that's the highest benefit you can get. You're only allowed to have one fire team of each type besides duos, so you can have one core team, one Harris team, and as many duos as you like, unless you're some particular factions. And so usually you're making a strong core. In that core, you're usually going to have about 3 do-nothing people. The line Kazakhs in the TAC are your basic line infantry, the line troops, which you'll notice their availability is total. You can have as many as you want. And this is a typical scenario across all the factions. Who's the cheap line troop? In this case, it's the rifleman. Oftentimes in this cheap line troop option, you're going to have a lieutenant option as well that is identical to your cheapest choice. As I click these, you can see that it's starting to add it to my list over here. Try to zoom out a little bit. So I can grab my lieutenant. I can grab another one. They both are the exact same type of profiles, and the lieutenant information is hidden, so they're not going to know what's what. So there's 3 linkable guys said down here that they have the fire team core option, so they can link with each other. And then typically, you're going to have more kind of wild card characters or special fire team members that are going to lead the fire team and be the active turn shooter. That's going to be a guy with your better ballistic skill, some mimetism. Let's talk real quick about, so right now I'm trying to tell you that you're going to have some characters or some strong shooters as the leader of your link teams. And your link teams are typically going to be 3 weak guys and 2 strong guys. They're kind of leading the way. And it's usually smart to have another extra refillable unit in case one of the guys gets killed. And then you can refill it back up to 5 with a command point. But let's talk real quick about some of the coolest things to filter for skills that you're going to find yourself using inside of a game. Again, there's classifieds in the missions. First off, Let me jump over back to the Infinity of the Game thing. What's important to know, inside your resources here, not only do we have the army builder, we have the rules, but if you go to downloads, what we also have is the, am I already there? Yes, you have the ITS. This is the tournament packet that is provided by Corvus Belli, and this is very much about how your lists are going to be built. So when I click on ITS, I can see that it'll take me to the rules and the missions. I got that pulled up here. I'm going to actually be playing a match in a few hours called Biotech Vor for the Remote Access League on Infinity of the Game Discord server. But inside this Infinity tournament system, there's a new one that comes out every year. ITS Season 12 was presented to us for N4, and only what recently came out. Here's all the missions that you're going to find at a tournament. If it's an official ITS tournament, which is pretty much all you're going to end up playing most of the time, it's going to be these missions. So if you wanted to be very academic or studious, you could make a specialized list for every single mission and just be ready to go at all times, or based on the day or what you and your opponent decide, or based on the missions of the event, you're going to build lists for these particular missions. The TO will often pick missions that kind of sync with each other. Maybe two will be towards one orientation and one is very specific. Okay, and the so yeah, these these are your missions that you're going to be playing, and this is typically what you're going to be building a list to. What you'll find in these missions is that they often require specialists. A few of these missions are going to be just kill your opponent, pretty heavily oriented. There's definitely a good chunk of missions that is based on area control, where it's just about holding different quadrants of the table for dominating with more army points than your opponent. So there's kind of quadrant control missions, there's kill missions, there's mixed bag missions that are both turn by turn scoring and in-game, some that are both killing and objective based. But yeah, whether it's in-game or turn by turn or a mix of the two, all that stuff gets changed up. I just accidentally went to one called highly classified. This one has a bunch of specialist requirements, I'm pretty sure. So it is, what are specialists? That's going to be the paramedics, the forward observers, the hackers. Some units just have the special ability called specialist operative, and they'll count as a specialist. Chain of command, these are all ways that you can accomplish things that require specialists. And people talk about button pushing. Usually in the midfield of the board or in the center of each quadrant, there's going to be consoles or tech coffins, and you need to get to these locations and not just touch them or be in their area of control, but you actually need to activate them with a willpower roll from your specialist. So having the correct amount of specialists to get the job done without overdoing it, because it does have an extra tax of points to it. You can see here a regular line Kazakh is 9 points, while the paramedic is 11 points. So you got a 2-point tax there to take that in this particular instance. So you kind of want to, based on the mission, know how many to bring. Yep. And just to keep my thoughts clear, I'm not reading too much there, buddy, but yes, I appreciate your comments. So you're going to need specialists. What often you're going to see people do is you want to be as efficient as possible typically with your orders. You can bring like all the most killy stuff that you possibly can squeeze into a list, but they're only going to have so many orders to push them around. And if you had a full combat group of 10 and it just had, let's say you just only brought 10 models and it's just loaded with fighters, well, you're only get, those 10 orders, maybe only 2 of the guys out of the 5 main fighters you brought are going to be able to actually get orders. And as you start to lose pieces slowly, you can't even use everybody you got. So you have to have a nice balance. It's all a balancing act in this game. Versatility, variety is the spice of life. You will find that you will be, I think you'll find you'll be more effective not spamming something that seems good, but having a nice toolbox of different things to handle a different situation. And the more experience you gain with that, the better you'll get at that. Especially, there's all kinds of talks about what do you need to prepare for on the offensive level. Tags are a big deal with the new crit system. Heavy armor can be very strong nowadays. So having AP, having specialized weapons to deal with things, whether you're going to fight them in combat, kill their order pool, try to take them head on, hack them. There's a number of ways to do it, but let's talk more about the specialist. You're going to need them in missions, and oftentimes you're going to find people looking for forward deployment and infiltration to be able to deliver their specialist quickly and efficiently to the objectives in the midfield. So for instance, if we go to skills and we look at infiltration, this is definitely a rule that is worth looking at. Whenever I am playing other opponents and say these virtual leagues, you usually have a time to do a little bit of homework, right? And so whether you're building a list or digesting a new faction for yourself to play or studying what the enemy is capable of, you're usually going to see, do they have any infiltrators? What is their infiltrating capability? In this case, the TAC, they only have the scouts to infiltrate. And infiltrate means that they can deploy up to halfway up the board without, they just can. So they could literally, usually the objectives, the consoles they need to touch is directly in the center of the board. And then they could basically be starting right next to it. Which if we look, here's the scouts here. The scouts have a forward observer option, which would be their specialist that would start next to the objective. They also have camouflage, so they would appear in token state, and the enemy wouldn't even be able to directly target them until they're revealed. So they can pretty easily get in position to grab objectives quickly versus spending orders to move up to the objectives. So infiltrators are important. Hidden deployment is important to check out in your skills, especially if you're studying an opponent, to see what could possibly jump out of nowhere at you. And then if you're not doing infiltration to get up the board, then perhaps you're going to use forward deployment, which TAC has a pretty good amount of. So you can see when you go to forward deployment, there's +8 here. Sometimes there's +4 or +8. That means you can go +4 or +8 beyond your deployment zone, almost up directly to the middle of the board. So the quicker, if you're trying to get across the board or get to the midfield, infiltration and forward deployment, parachutist and combat jump, these are great ways to expedite you getting to where you need to be outside of your deployment zone without spending orders to move there per se. So these are great. Usually when you're fighting somebody head on, when you're looking for that link team leader that's going to be the main fighter, mimetism is a great ability. Because this is, whenever you go to fight somebody, it's going to be about range, whether they have cover or not, and do they have mimetism, as well as maybe suppression. So mimetism or surprise attack. So mimetism, if we go to, well, shoot, I got some right here. Mimetism is basically just tells you a mod of, are they -3 or -6 to be shot? It's a type of camouflage. There's a lot of things in the game with mimetism. It makes them tougher to shoot and better at a face-to-face fight. So mimetism is strong in both you want to have it and know when you're against it. Now, if mimetism is strong, what's also strong is a counter to mimetism. And more than just being a counter to mimetism, it is a way to see through smoke. So if we go to MSV1, there's MSV1, MSV2. MSV1 lets you see through smoke, and it lets you ignore the first level of mimetism someone has. Someone has mimetism -3, and MSV1, a multispectral visor, will see right through that and not suffer that -3. Additionally, if someone throws smoke down, a no visibility zone, typically you can't see through it, but if you have visors, you can. Now, MSV1, you can see through the smoke, but you have to shoot at a -6 penalty. If you have MSV2, you can shoot directly through the smoke with no penalty. So this can be a really big deal. That's a conversation all of in itself. It seems like different weapon types, different types of equipment, and different combinations, whether it's parachuting, combat jumps, smoke throwing, impetuous guys, fighting in CC, all these are kind of their own little classes, I feel like, to master. And you'll find yourself, if there is a reason to spam, it's in the early days while you're learning, and maybe you're spamming a particular concept to really get a feel for it and learn how to operate with it. Hidden deployment is a skill all in of itself. If you're bad at playing with hidden deployment, you may have all the hidden deployment you could, if you bring too much of that stuff, you're going to actually hurt yourself, and knowing how to pop out at the correct times is very important. So it's a lesson in and of itself. Smoke is critical, and it's going to allow you to deliver yourself to places. If they don't have MSV1, they're going to pay a premium for those MSV shooters. And they're not always going to be looking at the correct lane. So a lot of times delivering yourself to the objective or delivering yourself into combat, just getting yourself where you want to go, is going to be utilized with smoke. So that is another thing that you would want to search. So MSV is something I search, infiltration, forward deployment, parachutes, combat jump, and I like to search smoke. You're going to find some armies have a bunch of MSV, the capability to see through smoke, but as a balancing act to their strength, they don't have any smoke to throw. Because what can be really powerful is not only is your opponent going to try to throw smoke around to deliver themselves around the board, but you could also be throwing, and which you would be able to see through, but you could also throw smoke on your own head just to impose a huge negative to your opponent and to not be shot while you pick and choose who you want to shoot. So Smoke and MSV paired together is a very powerful active turn choice, and it's a great defensive mechanism to stop people from delivering things where they want to go. Okay. So not only do we check out, let's go to a faction that doesn't just not have any technology here. We'll go to Combined Army. Okay, so now that we're in the Combined, these, the Involved Intelligence, these have some very advanced, their skill list is a lot bigger, there's going to be more options here, and we're going to have more equipment, more hacking devices. So you can see here MSV1, MSV2, MSV3. Ariadne didn't even have level 2 or level 3. So just by going to the equipment list and scrolling down, if I'm an Ariadne player learning Combined, I can quickly see new things that I didn't have access to before. New hacking devices, more hackers. So if I wanted to see who has MSV level 2 quickly, I can see who those units are and start to judge them side by side and see who's better, see who I want to potentially make a link team with if I'm in a sectorial, etc. So just to get this thing clearing up here, I just want to make sure you guys understand how powerful the filter system is. And then also what's great is that you can quickly identify and match up weapons next to one another. So in the top right here, a little bit different location on the app, you have a quick access to being able to look at the martial arts, booty, and metachemistry chart, which are just nice to be able to get those on hand because you're going to use them in gameplay. So there's a quick link to that. You have a quick shot button here to all your hacking programs, who they affect and how they operate. That's also a nice thing to have and can start to help you understand the difference between the hacking devices, whether you're a killer hacker, regular hacker, or an Evo hacker. And then you're going to have your weapons chart list. And in the app, it doesn't show you the entire game, but you can see here in the weapons chart, it'll show me every gun in the game, which is pretty sweet. Or I can look at every gun in my faction. Or if I have a list being built, I can look at just the guns in my list. And this is very great at quickly being able to identify what you have access to and use it in the game. Because every gun is going to have a different range band that it operates in for where it's good range, okay range, and bad range, right? And this is a game of setting up your best modifiers for the best opportunity to win a face-to-face. And a lot of times, unless you're doing some sort of asymmetrical attack. So, knowing your range bands and kind of being able to set up those best scenarios for yourself is critical. Okay, so the weapons chart is awesome. It's a great way to find your weapons and compare weapons in real time. And also look at, the entire game's worth of stuff. Okay, so just to recap here, one thing that I didn't really talk about quite yet, but it's like how to pick what army you want to play. This game's so cool at being able to really kind of fall in love with an aesthetic of a faction and then decide to play it without just being screwed with, your army's not going to just sit on the shelf and just be bad. Everything has some viability, and really your skill as a player and using the tools to it correctly in the circumstance is kind of is catered to being effective. It's not just about buy this model because its rules are great for this month. Your purchase really goes a long way and continues to be honored with a balanced rule set as best as they can offer. Anyways, not everything's perfect. So how do you pick what to do? One, you can go to the Infinity store, which again is a hyperlink off of infinitythegame.com. Here's the store. If you go to the store, you can quickly be able to filter the different factions and look at just the stuff that are available new. You can, these army packs are a great way to kind of look at the different aesthetics. There's also a great guide by this fellow here that I'm going to put in the link, and it just kind of gives a basic breakdown of the game and the factions, and it's just another good you want to consider Infinity, look at this article kind of thing. Here's a quick look at Yu Jing and Ariadne, Hakislam. So just a very, very quick and easy way to look at the aesthetics of the game through this article. I'll put that. There's the Nomads. So you kind of okay, what do I think's cool here? What is kind of calling to me aesthetically? Dive into that lore a little bit. There's great just basics tidbits on the lore, but a lot of people do ask, where do you get more of that? Infinity of the Game's I think there's a companion book that comes with the actual rule book that is a lot of the lore up to date for the N4 book. But then also a lot of like the richer backstory is in their graphic novels and their RPG games. So you'll actually find all the rules for this universe, this game is pretty much free. But a lot of the lore is where they put some things behind some nice looking, very nice books and stuff. I like that they keep the lore separate from the rules as far as payment. If you want to go deep though, you end up having to buy some stuff, I think. So yeah, great way to you find an aesthetic, then you can check out that lore a little bit, and then you can start to follow these hyperlinks around, use the filter, look at what separates one from another. I also enjoy personally, that can be a little crazy sometimes, maybe a little toxic or whatever, but I do like looking at the forum. Where am I trying to? Community forum. When you go here, what you'll find, there's always some nice conversations going down, and if you go to the human sphere section inside the Infinity of the game, I've been able to pick, just get some nice, you start to put your attention as a new player when everything's big and wide, you don't know anyone's name or what they look like. It's helpful to start to see what people are talking about and what they like, different characters that will draw your attention and make you start to scratch your head and see some combinations. So you can see here's a lot of the different factions. There's a lot of sticky wikis and breakdowns on people's opinions and just tactical guides. So definitely check out the forums there. You can definitely be a part of the conversation, ask some questions, etc. And as much, it's a little silly, but I do like Infinity 4D Chan. Maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, this if you look for a particular sectorial, let's click this. You can actually find, here's just some great breakdown of just some general information about what their backgrounds are like. But if you search this and a particular faction / tactics, if we say Morat's Tactics 140 Chan, I think that's right. No. Usually there's some nice tactical guides. Infinity. It's hard to find stuff on this game, guys, compared to some others. There's a Corvus Belli community tactical guide there. I don't even see what I was looking for. All right, screw it. But yeah, there's Google your way there, find some stuff in the forums, whatever. But I do like looking around there for just tactical guides and bits of information. There is just a ton of great tactical guides if you go on just YouTube as well. VolSC has a lot of great breakdowns. Infinity the Game, or Infinity Gamer has some nice lore backdrop. So, follow some videos if you want to go that way. But this is your main hub. So let's try to wrap this up again. So you got your core rules here. I like to, when I go to the core rules, I like to look around. I did read it front to back this time. I didn't do it in N3. I really like to just look at the different stuff in the contents, and then anything that I'm unfamiliar with or I think weak on, then I might go to that section and do a little bit of light reading here and there. Typically how I like to operate is I'll just do a Control F and start to look up stuff like no visibility. It's probably a bad thing to look right now. Let's try smoke. But see how it takes me to smoke ammunition. It highlights that down in the bottom right of the screen. It tells me it's page 72, and I'll just go 72 and jump to the page it suggests, and bam, now we're at smoke ammunition. So a lot of times I just Control F and jump my way around the core rule book. But again, just using the wiki links right from the Army Builder is totally fine as well. So we have the core rules. We have the appendix that tells you about fire teams and maybe some additional specialized abilities. We have a sectorial chart that quickly breaks down the different link teams that you're capable of making for a sectorial. And then we're going to have the forum access. We're going to have the Infinity Army Builder all from inside of here. These are all great. Going to the store is a great way to look at the different models and what they look like aesthetically. And yeah, inside the Army Builder, don't forget that there's the filters, and feel good about as you learn each of your rules with these hyperlinks, you're also learning the rest of the rules for everyone else's army. Okay, I think I have said everything that I want to say. If you're out there and you're watching this live right now, feel free to ask me any questions before I jump off of here, as I just gave this quick rant and rave to hopefully help out my friends that want to ask how to play this game. Yeah, good enough. There is a game here at I think like 2 o'clock. Yep, about an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45. I'm going to link up with D, very cool gentleman. We're going to play military orders versus my MORATs. We're going to play the mission Biotech Vor from the Season 12 ITS missions. And it's round 4 of the Remote Access League Season 3 tournament that is being put on inside of Tabletop Simulator by Infinity, the game Discord server. Man, I wonder if I have Discord up. Discord is not open, but yeah, you guys should check out Infinity the Game Discord server. Check out Vol SC as well, and then there's also Infinity the Game TTS as a Discord server. And I think soon to be, yeah, there's some stuff there. There's the TTS Infinity Official. Getting ready to, you guys can still join a TTS tournament called the Old Dominion Disagreement, or ODD. That is going to be online this year, typically a real satellite event in real life. But that's going to launch on the, I think, 27th is the close off for signing up for that. Just look up ODD on Facebook. Vol SC Gaming is fantastic. But yeah, it's really cool to meet the worldwide community via Discord, and that's where a lot of, I think it's easiest to have real conversations with people and make some friends. And if you play on Tabletop Simulator, then you're going to be able to play with people all across the world as well. So join the community. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm glad to get it off my chest, and I'll see you guys very soon for another battle.